Welcome to Study Loop.
In this problem, we've designed a contraption to toss a beanbag. And obviously in the picture, it's kind of interesting that the cup that's holding the beanbag needs to be rotated by 180 degrees somehow along the trajectory as the lever arm goes from its first position to its second position, but we're not told exactly how that happened. So I'm not sure how this actual mechanism is going to work in the simple case that's shown, but we'll assume that somehow that happens. And so I've defined the origin at point 0, and what we have there is a bar that's fixed in space that's stretched out this way, and then we have basically a pendulum here, and there's a spring attached from the bar to a point on the pendulum, and then there's this beanbag down here, and that we want at some point to be tossed off of the pendulum. So over here we're at position 1, and here we're at position 2. So at position 1, the point of attachment of the spring is given by this expression, where LB is just 2 feet, and that's given. And then at position 2, and here theta naught is measured is this angle here, and that's 30 degrees. And then at position B, the point of this attachment of the spring is given by this vector, again LB, but now we have theta, and now this theta is measured from here. So we have a little different formula here. So theta is 45 degrees from the positive x-axis. Position A, where the spring is attached to this bar here, is at a distance LA, and that's also 2 feet. Then the beanbag is attached 3 feet from the pivot point, so we can have the position of the beanbag at the at time 1 and time 2. The weight of the beanbag and the cup are 4 pounds. And again, this is 3 feet to the distance from the pivot to the beanbag. And so what we're told is we want the beanbag to be going 31 feet per second at this point, so that then it gets tossed. So we can basically just use conservation of energy. So we know at T1 here, we have some energy stored in the spring. Again, we were told that the underform length of the spring is 1 feet. We can figure out the distance from A to B1, and then we can figure out the height or the position, the Y value of B1, because we know sine of theta, and so we're measuring 0 from here. And so at this point, it has no kinetic energy because we release it from rest. Over here, again, we have the potential energy in the spring, and we can figure out the distance from A to B2. And then we can figure out the height of the Y coordinate at B2. And then we have some potential, some kinetic energy at this point. And we know what we want. We want potential kinetic energy that would be stored for the beanbag moving at 31 feet per second, or the whole beanbag and the cup. So the question then is, what should the spring constant be? And so we can set the sum of this equal to the sum of this, and we'll see that we know everything in that equation except for K. And we can solve for K, and that winds up being 124 pounds per foot.